Welcome, everybody, and happy Halloween to everybody listening to the Lookout Podcast. I'm, of course, Meals. I'm here with LJ, episode 158 of the Lookout Podcast. Halloween, we're here. It's spooky. What are we doing to bring the spookiness, the vibes, all of it?
We're watching Mad Junji Ito. Shit.
What the hell is that?
The writer?
Junji Ito?
Yeah.
Who's that?
He's the mangaka. He does all the creepy shit that everybody loves.
Huh.
Uzumaki.
And what's he written?
Like the Uzumaki and the Liminal Zone and Black Paradox and all those other crazy things. I don't know.
I have never read any of them. Yeah, I've never read any of them.
I think so. A few of his things got adapted to like anime stuff too. You can watch it. Yeah, but it's creepy. It's weird as hell.
Well,
there's bad like scary anime though. So we should
no
this episode. That we watch.
Nah, I feel like
so for several reasons. High School of the Dead.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but I even feel Chainsaw Man is kind of scary, isn't it? Like when a world where devils take over and stuff like that. Like we're very apropos on this episode, actually. A person gets turned into a weapon. Like things happen in this series and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely. I'll say Chainsaw Man is definitely a scary series. No, a horror series.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Might as well be. As much blood as in the first season of the anime.
Man. A classic first season. I love that first
absolutely,
season.
Absolutely.
You know me. I'm not big on rewatching shit, but I would definitely rewatch that first season.
I haven't rewatched it yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I just haven't rewatched it. I feel like I need to watch more things before.
You say that, but then rewatch My Hero Academia. I don't like you.
But I haven't watched it. But I haven't rewatched it.
I don't like you.
I will rewatch it, because sometimes this just makes more sense. It just really, really does. And to be honest,
in your head, it does.
It makes way more sense, and it always will. I'm going to rewatch My Hero. I probably won't do it this year, to be honest with you. Now, reread My Hero might be a different story. Might have to catch up.
It is crazy.
I've reread everything from Star and Stripe. This is manga spoilers, by the way. I've read everything. Well, not that Star and Stripe is seen in the anime. I've read everything from Star and Stripe to the current arc like mad times over and over. But I've done the same thing with like JJK. Like I just finished watching another manga video on the Shibuya incident that's currently airing now, just because it's like every week it's like it's cutting off at this certain time and like, oh god, this is getting good. I gotta remember what happens, and then I rewatch it and then I'm into it again. So being an anime fan is just rewatching the same thing over and over and over again,
I want better for you. Sometimes I want you to watch other things. That's it, Mills. Just want you to watch other stuff. All right,
other stuff is good, and I'm not even into other stuff. Sometimes
you gotta be into other stuff. This is what the essence of the Lookout is. We are here to.
We spent the first 50 episodes covering Dragon Ball Z, which I watched a million times before that. The essence of the Lookout is to watch the shit you've already watched and talk about. That's the essence of the Lookout. It's not actually to discover new shit.
We are evolving. We got new artwork. We got two characters that have no names yet.
As anime fans, and I'll say this because the numbers don't even lie themselves. Subs lie, dubs lie, numbers don't. The numbers don't even lie that the most popular episodes that we have stuff that people have watched over and over and over and over again. Like,
you gotta break the mold.
This is true, but I don't know. Like sometimes it's cool. Sometimes I'm fine with, because I'm like, most stuff, like I see it, I can get into it and stuff like that, but there's so many different options. It's like actually overwhelming to actually look at it all. So I kind of like keep to, if something grabs my interest, like a Chainsaw Man, like this. If the manga usually grabs my interest, I'll tap in. But other than that, like there's so much stuff out there. Like I'm on AnimeNewsNetwork.com to see if there's any news that we need to cover currently before we head into Chainsaw Man Part 2, talking about that on this episode. I'm scrolling past Goblin Slayer, the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You anime, Pokemon Horizons, Blue Lock, Academy Cities, Gushing Over Magical Girls anime, The Fire Hunter. So, like, where do you even begin watching any of this? I think it stems from, hey, this is what you're into. You'll probably like more of the genre of this. You should watch more of these. And typically, like, horror stuff, besides, I guess, Chainsaw Man, I'm not really a horror fan, to be honest with you.
You gotta get you on Hell. At least watch Hellsing.
Hellsing?
Yeah.
Anime?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. It's a good one. But no, I mean, I get what you're saying. We're the comfort anime show. Everybody got their comfort stuff that they go back to and rewatch over and over again. Usually it's the most popular stuff. I just, listen. Can't always order chicken tenders at every restaurant we go to, right?
Absolutely. But sometimes you see the other shit that they have on the menu and like, I don't know if I want the eggplant.
I'm not telling you to order the grilled octopus. Just saying. Of course.
No. I understand what you're saying. It's just there's just some stuff I'm just not into. Like, I'm a picky eater. I'm a picky watcher. I watch very few seldom things. After we do this, I'm probably gonna go back to watching basketball. And that's just
not a football guy. You ain't got red zone.
Not really, no. But I know enough about it to exploit it for money. But
you have a parlay going right now?
I had a parlay that I won earlier today. Actually, the only parlay I won today was the football one and not the basketball one, because SGA decided to, I guess he spent too much of his time being a baddie and decided to shit all over my game today. And then all my other straights also did not pass either, because Jokic 2 points away from actually getting me anything. But you know what? Maybe another football one to pass today. Who knows? I don't know. It just, that's how life is. It is, taking chances, taking risks.
We're gonna start having a betting segment on the lookout.
Nah.
Lookout bets.
I don't want to solicit any bets. Nah, that's not me.
Come on, we gotta get the FanDuel whatchamacallit sponsorship.
If I could bet on how many people die in like the next Attack on Titan thing that's premiering next week, which I'm very excited for, I would do that.
Oh, thank God we're at the end, baby.
What do you mean, thank God we're at the end?
Yeah, we're at the end, man. Listen.
It's a great series. It's an amazing series.
It's an amazing series, but we're at the end. And you know how I feel about the end.
We're at the end. We're at the end. I guarantee you're going to like the end.
I'll probably like the end animated more than written.
Sure, right. But I guarantee you'll give you appreciation for the end, even in the manga thing, because you were very, very upset with the ending, and I'm like, it's not that bad. Honestly, it's not. It makes sense. It's kind of weird and thing, but it makes sense.
How do you think people are going to react to that scene?
I think people are going to. I think with the music and the animation and all the other graphics and stuff that go into it, people are going to love it. People are like, oh my God, this is it's top 2 and it's not 2. You know what I'm saying? One of those things. Little bit of news cleaning. We got to talk about this, because if we recorded the same time we did last week, I probably would have talked about it then. But we got to talk about it now. I would say probably, besides, Crunchyroll service launches on Prime Video. That's pretty exciting. If you hate Crunchyroll's user experience and love Prime's user experience, definitely tap into that. It's an add-on. I don't know why, but I feel like I should get it for free if I have a Crunchyroll account. But also Crunchyroll,
I can't give up Crunchyroll because I got grandfathered in, so my price that I'm paying for Crunchyroll is still the same before they raised the prices.
Did you see I haven't got the email personally, but did you see the thing about the class action lawsuit against Crunchyroll because Sony sold all of our information to various third-party sources?
Yeah, they said I can get up to like $30.
Yeah, I haven't got that email, but I'm going to make sure I
But
get
I
my
think but
$30.
it was between a certain time in which you signed up, and I'm actually like 1,000% sure I signed up
Oh
before.
wait. I think I got mine. I think this is it. I think this is it. I'm gonna check you, and then I'm gonna
Wow.
see
The
what
funny
email
thing
you got it.
is that shout out to whoever's in Oakland that just signed into my Crunchyroll account.
Mm, mm. See how they do you.
See how they did me?
Crunchyroll's do. See how Crunchyroll's do it. People from Oakland. Who you know from Oakland?
I only know a couple people out in Oakland.
Who
But
do you know enough to let you log into?
that's what I'm saying. None of the people I know in Oakland don't really be watching anime like that. But also, I got a community account, man. Like 17 people got my password, so I'm pretty sure they
don't say that. Don't say that. Crunchyroll not gonna give you your money. He's like he's giving away his own passwords. Why we gotta pay him?
I'm trying to look. I got the email. I for sure got the email.
I got the email. So
what was the sign up? Because it tells you in there. It's a sign up date. Where in which
claims must be submitted no later than December 12th. Interesting. Anyway, listen. Korean Cinema Fund. Listen, man. All these companies selling art.
Mugen Train Arc is finally being on Toonami. Took forever.
Oh yeah, but it took way forever. I mean, they're getting it entirely too late. But I understand because of this new world that we're in with streaming, the rights and the ability to air things on actual television themselves, it's going to take longer and longer. So unless the studio has some sort of agreement with it immediately, it's going to take longer and longer. But it took Demon Slayer just in general, even the first season, it took a super long time for it to air on Toonami. Like, yeah, it took forever. Like, I remember watching the debut of it on Toonami, and I've watched this millions of fucking months ago, but it is what it is. Let's see, what do I want to talk about? The dub wars, the dub actor wars of the Bleach, 1,000-year dub war.
1,000-year dub voice actor wars.
The voice actor wars, absolutely. So I definitely wanted to talk about this week because, again, like if this was last week, if we recorded the same amount of time, I probably would have talked about it then. This week, so
I think this week though is when it really it took.
It's shut down this week. Like people are not talking about it anymore, but I want to make sure to talk about it because I think this is kind of insane. So there's a lot of parties that are at fault in this situation. I blame Viz. There's the first part of it. I do blame Viz. The second part of it is this lady's, manic machinations all on her own. But so as we go, Bleach 1,000-year war blood. Bleach 1,000-year blood war arc anime currently airing, or at least it's currently airing, right?
Yeah, part 2.
3? Part 3, the conflict. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm saying part 2 is airing right now.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, so voice actor Anaris, who we spoke to at Anime NYC a number of years ago, who has voiced Mirko and Nessa from Pokemon and Yelena from Attack on Titan and a lot of other things, was announced. Oh, okay, she is going to be voicing Yorichi in Bleach 1,000-year blood war, and there's a lot of mixed reaction to it. As people of color were like, yay, yes, someone, she's voicing this major thing, and didn't really think anything of it. And then everyone else, who are these anime diehard weirdos, essentially was like, no, wow, how could you get rid of the original voice actor? Blah, 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 blah. Shortly after, maybe about a week after, it was announced that Wendy Lee, the original voice of Yuichi in Bleach, was now going to be returning to the role. And the voices that we heard in the anime, because Anaris already recorded her lines and it already started airing with her voice. So they essentially pulled the plug on her and then went back and redid all the episodes that had already aired with her voice in it and took her out completely from the show. As you, we, people of color, we are not happy for various reasons. But I would like to say, I think Viz, apparently, Wendy Lee went on Twitter and was like, "Oh, this was a scheduling thing. Viz didn't check with me with my schedule. I should have always been in this role. Like there's no reason they should have gave it to everybody else, and now it's making me look bad." And I decided to take the very professional thing route. It was like, "Hey, man, these things kind of happen, and this is just kind of the industry that we're in. I'm a fan of the original voice actor. I'm a fan of Bleach. Continue to support the show. Blah blah blah." What we didn't like was all the responses to kind of like people being upset about Anais being taken from the role, but Anais kind of approaching it in a way of like, "Oh, okay, let me take the more professional route." Wendy Lee was on Twitter disparaging her co-workers who supported Anais, disparaging people who were in her comments thing. It was like, "Oh, your little friend has plenty of roles. It doesn't matter." She was being very, very nasty, very, very shady, very, very, very nasty. A very nasty woman is what I'll say about her. I didn't like this at all. I thought it was cheap. I thought it presented this kind of situation where, I thought it presented this situation where people were giving pretty much free reign to say like, "Hey, this was a diversity hire. This was someone just because the character is dark skinned or black or something along those lines. That's why she was put in the role." And as we've known from covering a lot of anime over the last number of years, Anais has been she's been in video games. She's been in she's in the latest Street Fighter. She's in the most popular animes. I don't think you can say this is. Yes, would I rather people of color playing people of color roles? Yes, but it's not necessarily a must. But I would rather it, especially if it's something that like lends to the experience of Black people in this thing. Like I think in this post 2020 format, seeing a lot of voice actors say like, "Hey man, I would rather this role go to someone of color, someone of the culture, or someone of the origin," and people's taking a step back has been admirable. We saw Apu from The Simpsons, who was notably voiced by a white guy, now voiced by an Indian man. Lots of characters on various different shows have been reprised by people of color now because it's just, you need more opportunity within the space. It's kind of crazy that it wasn't that in the first place. But to kind of like dismiss this as a diversity hire to me was a major that gave me the ick in a way. Go ahead.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And I think that once again it just minimizes how, first of all, hard Anais works. It diminishes the fact that it's not like they just pick some random motherfucker off the street and so it's just like, "Oh, hey, like, you want to be the voice." Like, she's putting her hours, she's putting her work. It's not like she's just some nobody that came in. Like, she's very talented and, like you said, has done this before in major roles and major. So it's not to diminish her work like that and diminish her her success in a way where it's like, "Oh, they only picked her because she's like," that's whack as fuck. And like I said, like Wendy Lee not being in a and Wendy Lee, who was a person who when the whatchamacallit, Cowboy Bebop live action came out and everybody was mad about the Faye Valentine thing, like she was one of the first people to stand up for old girl because she was getting chat on because of how she looked and whatnot. And so it's like, for you to do that and at one moment be an ally to that, but then come over here and kind of spark and fuel this fire against someone else is whack. But yeah, I don't know. It's like you said, I mean, it's and people once again not understanding. This is like one of my big issues with like Twitter and the fact that everybody gets an opinion that gets to be just put out there, because it's just like people are just able to say nonsense without really understanding anything. Like, first of all, recastings happen all the time. People get
it happens literally all the time. We're gonna have an interview
all the fucking time. It 9 times out of 10 too. A lot of people don't even know it. They don't know it unless you really kind of do a deep dive and be like, oh, that person got recasted during it. Like it
used to happen all the time, especially with like 4Kids dubs, which we all grew up on as kids, and then when they were actually transitioned to studios, for instance, like Dragon Ball, like Pokemon is the biggest one. Like I was about to say, we're gonna have an interview with the original actor, Veronica Taylor, I believe, of Ash. She was replaced by I forgot what's her name. So I think it's Sarah. She was replaced with someone because the studios change, and I don't think it. Again, this happens all the time.
It's a part of the business, and that's what I'm saying is that when people are able to put their opinions and whatnot onto things that are that once again really technically aren't that big of a deal, or something that's just like, hey, it's just a part of this business, and that happens, and now all of a sudden it becomes a, oh, you know, they did this and this, that, and she was, you know, it sucks because it got spun into something that it's not and wasn't from the jump. But yeah, like Annalise is an amazing, and I know she's gonna pick up some bigger roles and big things. Like, and once I'm not even really mad at this for making the business decision or the decision, because once again, why not bring in the original cast if you can?
I'm mad at them because I think they put in one instance they put both actors in a really shitty situation, which I can recognize from the standpoint of like recasting someone without even giving them the kind of like, you recast most people from the original Bleach, but not really her, but you didn't even give her a chance to kind of answer. I understand that from that perspective. But also going back on it presents it in a much, now it looks like pretty much this kind of like happened when originally I guess it was supposed to be Wendy Lee in this kind of role. But however, lots of howevers, lots of buts, but then these are fictional characters, and I understand, I guess, the attachment to the character, and I understand the amount of years you put in. If someone recasted Vegeta, I'm pretty sure the entire world would blow up on itself. However, at the end of the day, these are ultimately, we don't own these characters, we don't own these roles, we don't own any of these things because they're fictional characters created by someone else's, kind of like machinations presented by the studio. So ultimately, if they choose to replace an actor, while we all get mad about it, we were mad about the Mob Psycho thing the other week because Homeboy didn't want to last year because Homeboy wanted union rates, and they were like, pay them more extra protection, fuck out of here. And they recasted Mob, and everyone was mad for a cool, smooth week about it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the series must go on. And I think it would have been cool to see Wendy Lee. I understand that she probably wanted her role, but it would have been cool to see her like give that kind of like, especially in this world that we're in 2023, it would have been cool to say like, yo, she's an amazing, even if she got her role back, she's like, yo, she's an amazing thing. And not being snarky and telling people that, oh, I'm sure your friend is going to get more roles, and I'm sure, you know, she's a whole bunch of other things. I was like, yo, you're a professional, man. You've been doing this for years. You're almost 60 years old. You're a grown woman. You're old. Let me not get nasty with it. You a grown ass woman, all right? Like, there's no excuse for you. She's 63 years old. Calm down, bro. Calm it down. Bring it back a notch. Like, she made an apology all after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what's the heat on you now?
Says wishing
hey, Loki. What she said was really fucked up, but I'm just like, hey, bro, you already saying it. You should have just stood 10 toes on what you were feeling. If you really felt that way.
No, because she was getting flambéed. Like, she would probably...
she was getting cooked. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. She says, wishing Anais the best. I reached out and apologized mistakenly, and soon my colleagues knew that I originated the role and felt unsupported by the disappointment expressed in their comments. Read the cast change. Apologies, heartfelt well wishes, Anais, welcome to the cast. I would never want to work with you ever again after you targeted me on Twitter for something that was not my fault, first of all. Second, she says, I reached out and apologized. realize, come to find out, Annalise never accepted her actual apology either. She was like, I'm not in the space to accept this woman's apology, as she shouldn't. She says, I haven't responded to Wendy privately as I have no energy and interest in participating in this situation more than I already have. I'm not ready to talk. Please respect that. Like, fuck out of here, bro. Like, if you realize how hard it is to at least put the foot in the door, and there's so many young Black voice actors getting their foot in the door, so many who came up like us watching Toonami and just want to hear their voice, looking up to people like Phil Lamar and Bill Burton and all these other people who, the very, very rare people of color in this role, and now it's becoming a little bit more diverse with, you know, Asian voice actors that speak Asian English voice actors, and you know, Hispanic and LGBTQ and all these other stuff like that. And for you to act this way to me is like, I'm like, yo.
She said, bitch, listen, she was coming all spiteful though. You know what I'm saying? She was hating. End of the day, she like, dang, y'all gonna fuck around and give my role to somebody else. That's, you know, that's what it really came off as.
It really felt like you're gonna give around and give this in my role to
a black girl at that. Yeah, she was double hurt. She was like, not only did you recast me, you gave it to a Negro.
Because are we casting people just because of the color of their skin now? And that's how people try to. Because I watched a Chibi Reviews video on this, and I liked Chibi Reviews for a second. I'm not a major fan, but if it shows up on my thing and if he's talking about something cool, I'll watch it. He's very analytical and stuff. But he had no idea of what he's talking about. He is way out of his realm, and I hate when people use a term like, you know, this might get me a lot of heat, but I'm just going to say what I got to say because I got to keep it real.
It's like, always the most dumb bullshit that comes after that statement.
It's a
98%, 98% rate that when someone says that shit, something dumb is coming out of it after.
Where it says it's inherently racist to cast people of color in roles of characters of people of color just because they're people of color. I was like, what is wrong with you? Yeah, these are people are just looking to have a voice in this. People are just looking for an opportunity to this. He didn't acknowledge her name in any of the videos. He just kept saying this individual. That really turned me off. So I probably won't be watching his videos anymore, because that was just like nasty. All this situation is nasty. I don't think anyone deserved to have their name dragged through the mud in this. But I specifically don't think that Annalise, not only one who got no paper from this at all now, had essentially not only just her role taken back from her, but pretty much erased from the series just in general, and is expected to hold kind of a smile and just keep trucking along, and like maybe there's another role that's going to be out there instead of being part of this iconic.
And I think that's the whack part, and that's my only thing. Not my only thing, but like that is one of my biggest gripes. Is that, first of all, super duper shout out to Annalise again, and not only because she's really talented and whatnot, but because of how she handled this. She handled this so gracefully, and because if it was me, and listen, I know for myself, I would have handled this so much. I've been popping off. Like, I don't like what you like you got the nerve to disrespect me like that. Like, bro,
we would have came at it like a city girl.
Oh man, bro, listen, I would have been out there talking crazy. What? I would have been like, oh man, the words that would have came out of my mouth would have been ridiculous. Yeah, for real, it would have been crazy. But she handled it with so much grace. But I also felt like she had to, because her back's against the wall, because she would have popped off like that. I don't know how that industry works out and whatnot and all this and that. So she could have popped off on her, cause get that. Next thing you know, she blackballed. She can't get no job. She can't do this, do that, because they're like, oh, now she's a liability because of someone. You know what I'm saying? So but it sucks though that she has to be put in a position where all these people can say these crazy things to her, and even Wendy will be able to disrespect her in a way like that. And nothing, she's not gonna catch no repercussions. Biz ain't gonna be like, oh nigga, you being a hater like that. Oh fuck you. We're gonna help her keep the role and whatnot. Like she can't, like she's not catching no repercussions. But I bet you, this is like, know what? They picked me because I was better anyways. She really got the pop in her shit. It would, like, if the roles are reversed, it would have been a completely different type of reaction and different consequences would have happened. And so that's where I be feeling well, because it's like, dang, now she's over here catching so much heat, and like you said, now it's become a race thing. Now it's become this and become that, and she can't. I'm pretty sure she can't speak as freely or as openly as she probably wants to on the situation, because
But
she
listen,
understands that there's going to be different repercussions and different consequences if
but
she pops off how she probably wants to.
But thankfully, she got people in her corner who will absolutely pop off for her. And it's not necessarily like we all targeting, this lady and do all this stuff like that, but like, this is how legitimately we feel. And this is something that's a familiar feeling that we've all felt in some kind of way. Being black people, being Hispanic people, being all types of things, and getting kind of like the shaft under the stick and having to smile through it. So that is why people are definitely mad about it. And it's something that the white ass chibi reviews would not be able to understand in this situation, unfortunately. So for him to speak on that in this situation, to me, is nuts. But hey, I mean, this is the world that we live in, and these are the anime fans that currently occupy the space. These are the same people who went after Halle Bailey for playing a black
Ariel.
Little Mermaid. Yeah, and it's like, she's a fictional character. Who the fuck cares? It is what it is. It's 2023. Like, come on, people dick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like I said, shout out to them. I don't pop off on people on Twitter no more because you told me to stop, so I gave up.
I appreciate that. I'll still do a damn thing from now on. I don't talk crazy how I want to
on Twitter no more because
I just stopped talking about AEW just in general. So that's that. I realized that was a lot of my that was a lot of the problems that surmised on my timeline from talking about AEW. So I talk about it a little bit less. I even use, unless it's like really, really crazy or out of pocket or something that I feel like needs to be said. But or if I feel like making a joke. But we should get to the actual what we came here to talk about. Besides,
talk about demons.
Absolutely, well, devils. Not demons. However, I want to implore people that next week, again, we will be having, I don't think it's going to be the final episode of Titan Time, because I actually do want to go over Attack on Titan in full now that it has ended. But this is going to be
I feel this is, technically, it's the final Titan Time, because
it's the final episode of Attack on Titan that we're going to be covering on Titan Time. But I feel like there's a space for us to cover Attack on Titan in full.
No, for sure. I think we should do it ASAP. As soon as it's done, we do our final Titan Time. We go straight into the series.
Listen, we gonna make it happen. We gonna lay out the thing. We gonna, with Attack on Titan, you got to do all your Googles, and you got to do you got to pull from here, all types of thematics and stuff like that. You could really teach a course on it, not in college, to be honest with you. Some sort of literary course, though.
You could teach. I feel that there should be a college anime course, because I feel that a lot goes into a lot of this writing, and like the fact that these mangaka aren't only writing, but they're also drawing the story and storyboard. Like
there's a lot of influences that come from not only just the characters themselves, but like actual real world things, like But let us head to the world of Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man Part 2, the manga. Chainsaw Man Part 1 originally started airing in the anime form last October. I expect it to be, well, it's already got a lot of praise, but this year I think the anime awards are coming up for Crunchyroll, and I expect it to be nominated for quite a bit of things because it was an exceptional series. So if you have not actually read the rest of Chainsaw Man, I don't think we're going to be doing major spoilers from the first Chainsaw Man, but just know that if you're asking where these characters are, chances are they're probably dead.
Yeah, most likely.
So if you do not want to hear any spoilers on Chainsaw Man any further, I would implore you to step out right here. But if you have read Chainsaw Man, which I implore everyone, it's not that long. It's like 90 something chapters. And it's a great read. It really gets you in the mind of Fujimoto, who is an absolute fucking maniac, which we will talk about soon. But Chainsaw Man Part 2 premiered, or at least started a couple months after Chainsaw Man Part 1 ended. And, Yuji pretty much survives. Honestly, pretty much the only survivor. That's why there's more survivors, but he's the only one that's been...
He's the only notable survivor, we'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple more that survived or reincarnated or whatever the hell it is. But part one ends with like I'm going to high school, and my initial thing was like, oh wow, we about to get this Chainsaw Man series of him like navigating high school life like it's fucking Degrassi. Um, nah, not at all.
Not at all.
Denji, did I call him Yuji before? I feel like it. Well,
If
Denji,
you did, hey, if you did, fuck it, y'all know who we're talking about.
absolutely. Denji, still on a hunt for a girlfriend, is going through high school. Chainsaw Man Part Two. What are your kind of like your thoughts on this kind of like this bridge between Chainsaw Man and Chainsaw Man Part Two? Before we get into like the crux of the series.
Um, I like the fact that we're getting a different vantage point um within the same universe, because I think now, like, when you go into part two, devils now are in a weird way mainstream. Everybody knows about them. They're talking about them. They're, and so, like, the dynamics between devils and,
They're praising them.
yeah, they're praising them. They're scared of some. There's a guy on a corner preaching about how we need to get rid of all of them. Um, so it's more in our face. The dynamics are different. After part one, so I like the fact that we're still in the same universe, but it feels like we're in a different world. If that makes any sense. Um, just with the reactions and how devils are treated. So it's like it's nice that although Denji isn't our main character, uh we're getting a different viewpoint, a different outlook from somebody else who also has to live, has to, navigate this world of devils, and what that different landscape looks like and what it means, and how people are reacting to it.
This to me, again, I also agree. I like looking at it from a different vantage point. Also, I think this is doing what typical kind of like series kind of do when they're ready to kind of like elevate. And I think they open up the world, which I think is generally what Chainsaw Man Part 2 really, really is. Like, it's really opening up the world of Chainsaw Man to not only just the experience through Denji's eyes and kind of a character of him, but open it up to like what's kind of like the entire situation. Um I think we were following kind of Denji in like, okay, here's him, his friends, all this other stuff like that. And like you said, now we're looking at it from a different vantage point of not only Asa, but we're looking at it from like, okay, the threat that is looming currently over them. And we're getting expanded, whereas Makima was the true protagonist of part one, now it's kind of like being multiplied in part two. It's like the transition from, I would say, Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z in a kind of way, where because the irony is that Denji's looking for a girlfriend, but the irony is there are four devils who are women that are hunting after him to make sure that they get him. And I think that's truly the crux of the series thus far. It's kind of like centered around these four horsemen devils. The first one is the control devil, who was seen in part one and took the form of Makiba, and is now Nayuta, who we saw at the end of part one. And her intention
I
was
mean,
to
she's
slay.
great. I love her in this series. She gets
Well, yeah,
introduced kind of a little late, but she's so amazing.
her introduction is amazing. Her introduction is like, of course, Denji again, like the irony of it, like Denji's trying to get it on, but these are the women who are actually kind of like targeting him. So as he's trying to make out with the main character, she pulls up and immediately like puts the kibosh on all of that immediately. It's awesome. And she's only like what, 10 years old or 8 years old or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
it is.
I love how he refers to her as the problem child.
Mm. It's considering where he began and where it's kind of ending up now is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so now it's Nayuta. Originally, the Control Devil's intention was to slay Chainsaw Man, bring him, under control to wipe out her other sisters and get rid of their very own reasons of why they want Chainsaw Man. So all these four Horseman Devils are against each other in kind of an instance. Um, Makima tried. She did bring her under control, but it wasn't able to keep him under the control.
Yeah.
Um, then we have Yoru, the War Devil, who is paired along Asa, the main protagonist in this series, who we see who just wants to fight and kill Chainsaw Man. That's really it. Like, just wants to.
He just wants a lick back. He's
She
like,
wants
man, fuck
revenge.
everything.
Yeah,
I just want my lick back. That's it.
there was a war initially between Chainsaw Man and these other horsewoman devils, and Chainsaw Man essentially got the upper hand on them, and then Pochita disappeared out of nowhere, seemingly ran off to Earth, and that is where we kind of like start the story in part one. Um, and then we have the horsewoman devil Fami, the famine devil, who wants to oppose the apocalypse that is about to happen by killing. Well, I should have probably introduced Death beforehand, but wants to kill her older sister Death, um, and enslave so she can use enslave the War Devil, which is Yoru, and Chainsaw Man to help fight the Death Devil. And then we have the Death Devil, who is the most strongest one of them all, who imagine because the fear of just death probably makes it an amazingly strong devil. Um, who we haven't seen yet in the series, but is a looming constant over this entire thing of the apocalypse that is coming. Um, I mean, I think this is an interesting way to kind of like pitch this entire series. Like this is starkly different from the original one, which seemingly was like, okay, Makima, kind of weird,
Mm-hmm.
kind of hot, but kind of weird. Like it's something unsettling about this, but we'll see where this is kind of going, and then kind of we see where it goes. This one has a little bit more, I would say, stakes, a lot more things to save. Has the potential for Denji to be the hero that he kind of is. Kind of the potential for Asa herself to kind of like develop into someone who's strong as well. But after this first chapter is like peak Fujimoto. Like, do you
Yeah, it
remember
really
the
is.
first chapter of this? Like,
I
Asa
can't
accidentally
remember it
kills the
vividly.
chicken.
Yeah,
After
yeah. And
she
then she
accidentally
kills the other. She kills the dude, right?
she kills the chicken. All her Bucky, who everyone loves because it's the chicken devil. I think it's the chicken devil, but it's not really strong devil because who's afraid of chicken? Like weirdos. Um,
I don't know, man. Hey, Peter.
hey, I mean maybe, but the chicken devil's not that strong, so Asa accidentally kills it by like literally crushing it and shit like that. Um, all of the students in her class hate her, and she essentially, in this situation, she wants to die. She gets encountered by this other devil here, um, who is this owl. I think it's the Justice Devil or someone who is empowered by the Justice Devil. Oh, actually, no. She walks in on her teacher and a classmate getting it on, which is nuts. Like,
Yeah,
um,
Fujimoto. He was in his bag for sure.
he's a weird cat, but he
He's a weird
says
dude, man.
says I made a contract with the Justice Devil to find out how to reach my happy ending with Mr. Tanaka. So the girl that was, messing with the teacher transforms into a devil, um, kills Asa, but then Yoru, the war devil, comes up and says, like, hey, do you want to live? If you want to live, make your body mine. And she essentially makes her body, inhabitates her body, um, takes the teacher, turns him into a sword, and then kills the girl who turned into a devil. And yeah, it's an amazing first chapter, and um,
Can
she
I
is
get
the
a
war
hot take
devil.
off real quick?
Go off, please.
I feel personally that this is in this series so far, part two, Fujimoto. I think that this is stronger writing in this second part than it is in the first part for Fujimoto.
See, I
Am I
don't
lying?
know. I don't know if I fully agree just yet. I think it's stronger world building, but from a standpoint of, I think he's nuts in general. But
Oh
I
yeah,
think
he's a psychopath. Like
right,
he
right.
needs to be studied.
But I think, thank you, police devil. Um,
The
I
police
think
devil.
police devil. Listen, man, that's a strong devil, baby.
It
You ain't gonna.
is. Hey, I'm
Um,
about to get on my Umar shit.
absolutely. I think it's weird. I think the original arc in there's a lot that goes into it that I feel like, I mean, we haven't read it. I haven't read it in a long time, but I know there's a lot that goes into it that's exceptional in terms of writing from a standpoint and just building the character of Denji literally from the bottom up, and all his friends, all his experiences, all everything that he interacts with. I think it's amazing. I think part two thus far is following kind of more of a general anime format, albeit Fujimoto's eccentricities. Um, but I do think it's very strongly written. I don't know if I'm ready, if I'm prepared to say it's stronger than part one yet, but I do think there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this part two. Um,
I just think that um especially just how the world is now. Like you said, I just think the world building. I think the world building in here is better because I just personally feel the writing is better. Um, I think that with Asa, her internal struggle of like, bro, I kind of got this like demon put on me. I didn't choose to have this like this demon just kind of got put on me. Um, and just seeing her internal struggles and even like with her kind of going through her own shit, you kind of figure out like the devil, it's like the devil that she has, or devil has his own like feelings, which is weird because you're really not always looking at that. Like when the first part of Chainsaw Man, it was like Denji didn't. He was so down in the dumps. He didn't give no fuck. He was just like, "Hey,
yeah,
I'm gonna just do this, and that." And he was just kind of falling into these situations and fell into this world where it was like, damn, he had to handle a bunch of bullshit and had like a bunch of bullshit put on him. But he really didn't have any more emotional reaction to it. It was
right,
just
right,
more so like, "Hey, man, fuck it. It is what it is. I done been through some bullshit already." So I feel here it's like she's had a rough life, but she's just more emotionally in tuned with herself and more emotionally in tuned with like this is how I feel. Like even the moment of when is it they were calling her the falling devil, but it's not falling.
no, it's the falling devil.
It is the falling devil, right? So when the falling devil appears and obviously she's able to trigger people's memories and past trauma, um even also having that moment with the war devil of being like, man, listen, I don't I don't know what I want. Like I'm so afraid. I'm afraid of solitude, but at the same time, I'm afraid of companionship, and that's why it's so hard for me to like be able to make friends because I put myself in this solitude state, but also at the same time, I'm urging for this type of connection with another person and these other people. And for even able to like communicate that and put that into words and say these things and come to that realization about herself during this moment, or the even looking at some of the other characters around them and seeing them kind of like once again Fami, like her whole mission of being like, nah, dog, I don't want this to happen because I feel that a world full of devils isn't gonna that ain't like the type of world I want to live. So I feel that there's just more motive and there's more emotion behind kind of the actions, and we're able to see it more. I think that in part
Right,
one we weren't able to see more of that. It was just kind of more of damn, these people are kind of thrown into this world of devils, and it's just like thing happening, thing happening, and obviously Maki's behind there pulling all the strings of all these things happening. And it isn't really until the end where we find this big reveal. We're kind of like, oh shit, like these are why X, Y, and Z had So I feel
right.
like now, although a lot of people have been more complaining about the pacing because part one was so fast paced. Like it felt like chapter after chapter there was something happening here. Like him taking the time to build out this world and flesh out these characters a little bit more has been I like. really been enjoying it. It's one of my probably my favorite parts about this entire series so far.
Two things really quickly. I think first of all, when you go back to the Falling Devil thing and kind of like her past memories, the first thing I have to note is that origin story with the cat is one of the craziest things I've ever. Again, Fujimoto's nuts. This origin story with the cat of
The
originally Asa
cat
comes
thing
from
was
this
crazy.
orphanage, and she only has this cat. And of course, her mom. I mean, she only had the cat and her mom. Her mom was killed by the Typhoon Devil. I mean, everyone's parents are killed by some random massive force. Um, which I'm assuming that Asa will have to confront at some point in this series. But even though what's my man's name from the original series didn't get to confront the, I guess he did get. Well, you know what? Let me not spoil shit. But that cat thing was kind of crazy. Essentially, like, hey, um, don't you want to play with the other people? And it was like, no, I just want to play with my cat. Like, I which is hilarious. I just want to play with my cat, but da da da. And then she's like, all right, let me take it for her. Let me make sure to get her a proper home and stuff like that. And then there are some kids are essentially like, I found that cat at the bottom of the lake. And it's like, what an extreme, like she kills and the orphanage person, the caretaker is like, why are you the only one who gets to have something from your past and no one else does? That's so unfair, and use that as the motivation to kill her cat, which essentially like barrels her down. But what I'll say about the Asa and Denji's character, I fully agree. Denji's character, it's literally like, to me, it's like, how can I compare this? Asa's character is a lot more delicate in terms of its development and a lot more intentional with the things that are kind of going on. We're watching her essentially become an out from going from an outcast, someone who didn't want to live, someone who had no intention on continuing, and then we're seeing stuff like in the latest arc, the latest chapter, where she is like, "All right, fuck it, they're about to bust in our room. I'm about to turn this whole room into a fucking weapon. Back me up on here." And War Devil's is like, fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that strength that's coming from within, and a lot of that actually has to do with the War Devil kind of instilling her the confidence that she has within her, whereas Denji is a lot more rough around the edges. It's literally like, you have this bag, you're trying to fit through this hole in the door, and instead of you just deciding, oh, let me find the best way to bring this thing to the door, you're tugging and pulling and pulling. You may fuck the door's hinges up, you may ruin the bag, you may something, but you eventually get it through the door. It's very not neat. It's very like, it's yeah, it's just it's it's unhinged in the way his thing was, and a lot of the ways he reacted to things, um because of the difference in him and Asa. You look at it, difference between him and Asa, the way he reacts to things, like he had no concept of anything. He didn't know anything at all. He was an orphan, and the similarities, he was an orphan. The only thing he had was Pochita. The only thing she had was the cat. Those things got taken away from her, but essentially, she's offered another opportunity to be strong with this power that she has, and she's using it to build upon that, and that's how they build their own character. That's kind of like where this kind of series is going, where their similarities lie, but realistically, like, and they're both looking for companionship, but in different fucking ways. Denji's looking for it in the most crude way possible, of like, I'm just trying to find girls to have sex with, and she's like, actually, like, it would be great to have someone, but also, again, like you said, I don't know um how to have that. And I think a lot of people can kind of relate to that.
Because I think it's so much. I mean, like you said, Denji's thing is so surface level. He just wants to crash on something. Like that's all he cares about. And
It's surface
also,
level, but I don't think it's like, I don't want to dismiss it as something like just kind of like easy,
no, it's
because
not easy. Getting pussy ain't easy.
no, obviously,
Getting pussy is not
but
easy.
but
Listen,
I
it's a
don't want to dismiss it as like, yo, he's just this guy who kind of
hey,
is
listen,
really
and this is
crafty
taking
mind.
place in 1999. He actually had to have some fucking game. He ain't got social media to help him out. What? That the game different. Oh,
Well,
but
he had a thrown at him multiple times throughout the series, and just
yeah, he did. He failed. He fumbled that shit.
it's just because
Got thrown up on one
one tried to
time.
kill him, all types of other things. Like, there's a lot of, actually multiple of them tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Um,
Um. but also too, I think it goes to what you're saying though of like what it this it's like this hunt, and they're both kind of this search for just connection with other people, regardless if it's like physical connection like Denji wants, or is it more of an emotional thing that Asa wants. But they're both looking for connection with people because they have both have these past, and both have these things have happened to them that has created a disconnect from humanity for them. And I think once again it just goes to the once Fujimoto gotta be just some type of psycho crazy motherfucker, because only I think all geniuses are like this. Like people who can just create and write like this, they're all just got a few screws less like loose in their head.
Right.
Um, but no, it's just like the fact that though you can see these two people searching for the same thing, but like the contrast of how they're searching for it and what they're searching for.
and
Um,
and they cross paths eventually, which is like something that again, like you look at like Attack on Titan, right? Like you look at the season 4 starts from Gabby's kind of perspective, or that kind of perspective on how they kind of deal things, but the relationship that she has with Aaron, or like the similarities they have with Aaron, and it's a long time before they actually come to cross, and when they do it's actually destructive. But in this instance, I mean, it's kind of destructive. It's very, very toxic. um she has an affinity for a Chainsaw Man because, as most people do at this point now, most people have seen Chainsaw Man save their lives in some sort of instant, and now they have an affinity for it, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Um, she gets saved by Chainsaw Man, and then Chainsaw Man. Well, then she meets Denji, who is not Chainsaw Man, who's actually was like, who is this whack nigga that's just trying to spit game? And he's just like, I am Chainsaw Man. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And she's like,
that's not something Chainsaw Man would say.
Chainsaw Man
Like,
wouldn't smell like this.
yeah, you know,
Something
she was
along those
hating on
lines.
man.
Right, right, right. But Asa does, they go on a date on the aquarium. They meet the Eternity Devil again. Um, which, you know, feel they get trapped in the aquarium until um and they meet Fami in the aquarium, which is kind of crazy. But uh they get out of the aquarium once Asa decides to turn the entire aquarium into a weapon. Um and defeats the devil, which is kind of also nuts. So uh you know what we haven't talked about? We haven't talked about Yoru, the war devil. What's your kind of like thoughts on Yoru thus far? It kind of
Yoda's
like how she,
smart. It's fucking weird.
mm,
Like, look at like these situations that Asa gets in. Where, first of all, too, I love the fact that, especially when Yoda and Asa are having these conversations that they have, it's like she's conversating with herself. Um, that shit is so hard to me. I don't know why, but it's just like you have Yoru, which is Asa, but she has the scars on her face and shit like that. But then it's like,
because Chainsaw Man don't get to talk to no damn dog.
I know what I'm saying. Like it's God, it's I love those moments. Definitely some of my highlights. But no, but you really like look at like the situations they get in, and his able to kind of read the situation and his situational prowess, and how he even teaches her how to use some of the power. Like Yoda got, for a devil, he's pretty smart.
I think
I think I
again,
enjoy Yoda a lot.
I do too, only because I think Yoru she represents a lot of the strength that Asa doesn't have, and Asa represents a lot of the I won't say calm because she's anything but calm, but compassionate nature that she has from time to time that she doesn't have. Like we see it in the first arc where they're running up against the cockroach devil, and it's Yoru's best friend Yugo, and Yugo gets passed out or gets knocked out or something along those lines, and you know, Yoru's just like either kill or leave that bitch or turn her into a weapon or some shit like that. But we got to get the hell out of here. And she, you know, um, Asa picks up Yuko and doesn't leave her behind, and like is running with her in her hands and stuff like that, and like they run, and eventually they, Chainsaw Man shows up to defeat the Cockroach Devil, but
Or was it a
that's
bat?
I think it's a cockroach, or was it a bat? I don't remember. Let me see. I think it's the Cockroach Devil. It was the Cockroach Devil.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah. You got it in a minute. I think. Hold on. It says they accidentally kill the Bat Devil in the midst of the battle. He accidentally kills the Bat Devil, so the Bat Devil is definitely there. But the Cockroach Devil, which I assume is fucking feared for sure.
Niggas do not fuck with roaches.
They got wings. Get out of here. I'm running.
Wings and they're unkillable.
Yeah. Nuts to that. But it's the
Niggas talk about cats
compassionate
having 9
there.
lives. Cockroaches gotta have like 25.
Right. It's a compassionacy. Whoa. Compassion there. The one about dating Denji and like she having the opportunity to turn into a weapon at any time and choosing not to. And like,
Oh, even when your Yoda tries to turn them into a weapon, it doesn't work.
yeah, like there's multiple opportunities, but I guess that she can't because she definitely has feelings for him. And then during the Fallen Devil arc, again, we explained it a lot, but like a lot of her feelings and like it's the one situation where um Yoru has to help Asa make sure that she doesn't die. So she legitimately has to go out her way to be like, yo, think about this. I mean, she does it in a very crude way, but like pulling off her fingernails and cutting off her hand and all types of other extra shit like that. But it's like, yo, you got to think positive. You can't think negatively or we're going to die.
Yeah, it's
And
like it is even when he's like nail sword, so like her nail pops off, and he's like, "You got to focus on the pain and not on the trauma right now, like to keep us together." I love the, I love when you're able to see two parts that make a whole.
I agree. I think it's special. I think it's strong. Again, all these interactions between Asa and Chainsaw Man as well, how they defeat the fallen devil. Essentially, that motorcycle shit is the hardest shit that I've ever seen in my life. Like, super duper Chainsaw Man motorcycle, and it turns the motor. Well, the entire setup for it is funny because they're trying to run from the falling devil, and they're like, Asa's like, hey, steal that girl's motorcycle. And Denji's like, I can't steal a motorcycle from a girl. And they're like, then steal that guy's one. So he kicks the guy off the motorcycle and steals it. And it's not going fast enough. But essentially, because they want to make sure that there's alive, Asa uses her power to turn it into a super Chainsaw Man motorcycle. And Chainsaw Man is like, yo, did I do this shit? I must have, because this shit is fire. Um, and they managed to defeat the falling devil. In a sense, well, not defeat it, but essentially like they get eaten by it, and then Nayuta says use her control devil powers to make him throw it up, and then I think the was it the which devil calls back thing, was it the famine devil? Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it was
the
the
famine
famine
devil, because the
devil.
famine devil pops up.
At the
It
end, it
talks
was
to
like,
Naruto.
yeah, and it was like, yo, I'm actually the one who called this, and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
So
because she's like, I'm trying to, because yeah, they, once again, this is the part where I really was like, yo, I'm
because
listen,
the plot was laid
I'm
down.
not used to Hive like Anya Hive.
Right, no, absolutely. But then it's that instance where the plot is kind of laid down. It's like, listen, Death Devil's coming. The the the
The Nostradamus.
yeah. The event that we all predicted is absolutely coming. And even now you to a sense of degree, it's like, yeah, she's probably coming. Like, this is what's coming. We need to make sure that we do everything to save this thing. So you like Chinese food, right? And she's like, I love Chinese food. It's like that could be a good
Yes, that's
event.
the part. That's the part right there that made me Naruto. You like China? You like pizza, right? She was like, I love them shits. A world without it? Fuck no.
Yeah, so
And
you
she was
gotta
like, Are you
figure
gonna help me? She was like, I got school. And then the next
right.
panel, they're in school.
And then the people come in with their guns and it's like, we got you. It's finally the part where the public safety really comes in and becomes it. So this current arc, let's talk about this current arc, which I don't have a name for yet, but I'm assuming it's the Chainsaw Man Church arc. Um, that's the name I'm going to give it. Even though they're usually named after devils, so maybe it's the Fire Devil arc. Um,
Yeah, they
we'll
had a
see.
weird play here. They had a very weird play here.
Well, what do you think? Because this is the part of the story where it seems like a lot of the this isn't like a we turn. There's a villain at the end. I mean, I'm sure they'll beat the villain at the end, whatever. But this isn't as like cyclical as like problem resolution thing. Like, there's a lot being established in this. There's a lot of characters that are coming back. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff, moving parts that are being established.
I mean, shit,
Essentially,
Katana came back.
right? All these weapon devils that kind of like show up, and with the intention of, I mean, Fami presented that devil and she's putting all these obstacles in the way to essentially say like, hey, we want people scared of two things: chainsaws and war. So we can have the war devil and the chainsaw devil, chainsaw man, become as strong as possible before the death thing comes up. And it's this whole scheme with the chainsaw man church, which is essentially why that's coming into play. This cult that sign up a multiple amount of members and have them in packs with various weapon devils, and now they're being turned into weapons and stuff like that. Um, there's a
Actually,
lot of
even when they were talking about I mean, the marriage part where it's like you got all these people getting married, but it's like really it's not a marriage or signing this contract with the devil, and that's how
right,
they're gonna.
like like all this stuff, like you finally feel like the plot of this, and I guess that's why people are saying like, yo, it's a little bit long in the tooth, but we're finally getting there. And it's probably because we're like 50 chapters into where it ended the first time, and we're finally seem to be moving toward the death devil is what we're going towards, even though I think this might be the same around the time that Makima was maybe established as the major villain of this thing. um she was always unsettling, but I don't know if she was also always pitted as like the major villain of this, but I might be wrong. But this current arc, I like it because of all the interactions of it. I like the idea that Chainsaw Man has become so big that there's a Chainsaw Man church, albeit it's a scheme by the Famine Devil and a couple more people involved. She has like a face for it. She has a fake Chainsaw Man who goes on TV. Meanwhile, the public safety is like, if you turn into Chainsaw Man one more fucking time, I'm gonna kill you myself. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna make sure you never see
they are not
Nagito.
playing with this nigga, bro. They do not. They're like, hey, relax. You are becoming a liability for us and a lot of other people.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going down in this arc. And it's great to see the public. I like the fact that the public safety divisions are back. Because you always wondered what kind of like happened with that. Um, and I assume we'll start seeing Keisha B again. Um, maybe, if he's still part of this very corrupt thing. Um, but thus far, we have seen, I guess, Special Division 7, who is Fumikyo, Quanchi, Katana Man. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. But public safety is not happy with all the things that are going on currently. Uh, they do not want. I guess they don't want any devils, but I guess it's impeding the current plot of how they're going with this. So there's two sides where the public safeties, and then there's the devils, and then they're in conflict with one another, and seemingly Asa and Denji are in the middle, kind of with like, which way do you kind of go? Um, but the the plot is definitely blooming as we currently speak. Like the latest chapter, we can kind of like talk about it. Um,
But like, once again, I know that the pacing of this has been the pacing has been something that people have not liked a lot. They're saying it's dragging on, but I think it's helping this story so much. Because now
I
I feel like there's once again the world is just different now. The devils are in the forefront of the world. Like people know what they are. They're talking about them on the news. Chainsaw Man is just like this superhero to these people. And
right.
so like the schemes and the things that are getting played are like they're so much different than when like Makima was doing it. Like Makima had to work so hard behind the scenes. He had to set up so many different plays and so many different little things. Like now
Well, the public safety
they're
kind of still
operating
do
different. The
have to.
game's different.
No, the public safety still kind of have to work behind the scenes as well. Not everything's so upfront. So it's like they can't go out their way and say they're killing Chainsaw Man. There are people who love Chainsaw Man. They kind of have to work in the shadows despite them doing the best for, I guess, human society. Like they've always had to kind of like work in the shadows where Chainsaw Man Church is kind of like out in the open. I don't think people know that there's devils involved outside of Chainsaw Man, but they feel like he's the best devil there. They know about the devils that are attacking society and that Chainsaw Man has kind of saved them. But realistically, like this latest instant with the Fire Devil turning everyone into mini chainsaws, and now public safety
Yeah,
has to
that
like
shit was
kill
crazy.
everybody. Yeah, that's
His
like
man, Fujimoto's paneling is so amazing.
he's good. Like he's. I think he might be out of all the ones, he might be the most creative mangaka that we've had in quite some time because I would say like ironic, his mind, duh. But like it is his mind. Like I think he approaches things from a very millennial kind of like standpoint, but also like he uses like less is kind of like more. And he takes a lot of these like decisions and sharp turns, but they never really feel like completely out of place. They never really feel like um it betrays the plot. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
not at all.
It
Like you
it
said,
if
I think it's just his, like I said, his paneling. I think it's just his decision making, which feels very intentional, is what sets it apart. Because I feel that if you give another mangaka, obviously, if you give four mangaka a plot or a series, you're gonna get four completely different stories
right.
out of it. I just think that what he's
You're gonna
doing
get
with
the
the
weirdest
story,
one with him though.
yeah, you're definitely gonna get the weirdest one with him for sure. Um, but I just think that once again, like the little decisions that he makes seem very intentional, but they work.
Right. No, they absolutely do. And Chainsaw Man Part 2, I mean, it's continuing to go on right now. Shout out to that, the beeping devil. Um, it's continuing to go on right now. And again, it's great. Like it's I think like you said, the pacing of it is required to get this to kind of a certain point. I actually feel like, for instance, one of the other series that's kind of like going on, I think actually is going a little bit too fast, which is like the only critique I'll give it. Because albeit it's been good, it's like it's moving very quickly, which is Kagura Bachi. Um, we're on chapter 7, and I feel like we're approaching like this chapter thing where we should be like in chapter like 23. Like I was like, oh, the plot is
I
moving
mean,
here. Like
that was kind of one of my things of even the first chapter of just like, damn, I know who the main villain is already.
I mean, maybe we're not long for this series. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it is a shorter series, but the pacing is
And
kind of
I'm
like
perfect.
definitely
Listen, you
moving.
know me, you know my love for short series. I'm perfectly okay with that. I do
Right.
agree, though. I do feel that in contrast, Kagurabachi is moving. It's moving really quickly, but I think that when we're looking at how Shonen Jump was, especially when they were just cranking out new series after new series after new series after new series, the ones that have survived are the ones that had came out the gate at like 110 miles per hour of like, we're about to move fast as fuck right now. Like we're about to
Absolutely.
get all this in your face, like this, and those are the ones that have been able to survive. I think a lot of them too have been able to, although they came out as fast and as aggressive as they did, they were able to kind of switch gears and slow down a little bit. I think Harabachi will get to that point soon. Um, so I have an understanding of why, like maybe why the mangaka is moving at the pace that they are.
Absolutely. But Chainsaw Man, I mean, for all intents and purposes, is taking its time. The Death Devil is looming. You got the Four Horsemen Devil that's looming. You got the conflict with public safety and the Chainsaw Man Church. We got kind of like everything converging to a certain point. So I think we're at an interesting point in this series, and I look forward to like maybe even a year from now to see kind of like where it's all at. Um, Chainsaw Man Part Two is thus far it's going pretty good. Like this is one of one writing. I don't think anyone can write a series like Fujimoto can write a series. I think
No, not at all.
he's given
I
yeah.
think his pen game is easily the best right now in Shonen Jump.
I don't even know if it's the I couldn't say it's necessarily the best. I think it's the most interesting for sure. I think when you think about shonen and typical shonen, kind of like how it's formatted and the typical patterns and footsteps of how it kind of goes. It goes in a certain way. There's the introduction arc, and then there's usually some sort of tournament arc, and then there's some sort of training arc, and then there's some sort of major battle, and then they, you know, the rehabilitation from said battle, and it goes in a lot of these things, and it typically follows the same format. He has knocked all that, and he has done it his own way, and it has presented a much more enticing series than we've ever imagined. And I think Chainsaw Man hype is well deserved because it is completely different from a lot of things that we currently experience. Um, with that said, I want to thank people for listening to this episode of The Lookout. Um, Feel free to hit us up on Twitter at the Lookout RNC if you want to continue to discuss Chainsaw Man. I personally think it's probably one of our best episodes that we've done. I'm just gonna say it. Um, I also think you guys are gonna be in for it next week when we do. All right, I'll wait for the Dominicans to pass by. Um, I think we're gonna be in it for next week when the final episode of Attack on Titan drops, and you get to finally hear uh how we all think about it, even though I think Jamal's going to end up liking it more than he probably did. You can answer that phone, Jamal. Go crazy. But with that said, because I'm sure it's somewhat important, but with that said, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. Again, follow the Lookout RNC. Make sure you stay tuned in this week for Subs Lie, Dubs Lie. I believe, I don't want to, you know what? I'm not even going to, I don't know where they're going to go this week, so I don't want to announce it. I have an idea where they're going to go. But again, another major villain.
Hey, the fact that these niggas is doing villains and hit my line not once is crazy to me. But I
I'm
love y'all
sure
so much. Shout out to J&D.
I'm sure they will find you at some
They didn't hit
point.
my line not once. I love y'all so much though. Listen to Subs Like Dubs Like.
But listen, with that said, make sure you stay subscribed to the Lookout on RNC Radio. Make sure you subscribe to Titan Time next week. You look forward to doing it. And
Ooh,
yeah,
wait, time's not gonna be fun next week.
it's gonna be
Are we
fun.
gonna
It's gonna
get?
be
Are
fun.
we gonna argue? I think we're gonna argue.
I don't know if we'll argue. I'm fully sure we're not going to argue because I'm
I think
pretty
we will.
sure you're gonna be. I'm almost sure you're gonna be like, okay, the ending was good. You might say the ending was good, but I'm pretty sure you'll say the ending is good.
I think I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna find
It's
something.
90 minutes, bro.
Oh
They
God.
they have more than enough time to sell you on this entire big cataclysmic finish.
I don't know. I'm gonna watch it with a spiteful heart, just so.
Well, yeah, do it. Watch it however you want to watch it. But until then, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.